Hi, and welcome to the Project Virtual Conference. This session is about building beautiful Microsoft Power BI reports from your Project Online data. It is 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the 7th of June 2018. And my name is Nikki, and I manage the team here at the Digital Project, so I will be taking you through the presentation today. This is a pre-recorded session, so when it is playing through the Zoom session, I will be on the Zoom chat. You can always email us after the session at info@thedigitalproject.com.au, or you can email me directly at nikki.scott@thedigitalproject.com.au. Would always love to hear from you. And we hope you enjoy the presentation. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So we are an Australian Microsoft partner, and we specialize in Project, SharePoint, and BI. We are a software company, so we've developed a series of, Microsoft PPM products. We work with all industries across all verticals throughout Australia and Asia, and also in North America and now in Europe. And so we also partner with others who resell a lot of what we do as well. And so as I mentioned, we are a software company, and we're a team of individuals who've spent quite a lot of time as being project managers or program managers, portfolio directors. We're also developers, so we're a bit of a unique cross-skilled team. And for us, the Digital Project is about building the right PPM solution for customers. And so this is where we've come up with 3 different products, which I'm going to take you through in a moment. But essentially, our products are very much aligned with, helping executives, CEOs, directors manage their investments, helping project managers successfully deliver their projects, and most importantly, helping analysts build beautiful and amazing reports. And so within our team at the Digital Project, we are made up of a series of roles. So we have designers, and you'll see throughout the presentation today that brand is very important to us. We study the color theory. We work about how we can better connect, the color and the brand of these solutions with our customers. And the same principles will apply today when we talk about Power BI reports as well. We also have a team of highly skilled developers who automate everything we do. It just means we can actually deliver our software and products faster to customers. We have a team of people who are PPM specialists, which means they are, PMP certified professionals who understand project, program, portfolio management. These are people who've been in a role who can live and breathe what it's like to be a project or a program manager. We also have a research team as well. So for us, this is important because there are a lot of tools now on the market, a lot of web-based tools which are out there which focus on, helping organizations move work forward and, portfolio investment. So for us, we want to make sure that our Microsoft PPM solution stays ahead of that game, and we focus on the user experience. And for us, researching is how we can actually stay ahead. We also have a team of people who are focused around educating our customers. We're very much a team of people who try and encourage ownership to customers, self-serving. I guess we have a view that, if you still feel that you need training all the time, then maybe we haven't designed it the right way. So I can tell you that all of our software products are very intuitive, and all of our customers will take that immediate ownership. We also have a team of architects who work with the Microsoft Cloud across the Azure space and also Office 365, and staying ahead of what's coming. Most of these products that we're working with today, especially around Power BI, have a very aggressive roadmap, and so we need to make sure that our architects stay across that as well. So let's talk about our Project Hub solution. Project Hub is a project program and portfolio management solution built within Microsoft Office 365. It is based on Project Online, but it also does leverage the complete Office 365 ecosystem. A lot of customers will already have SharePoint, they will already have Flow, they may already have Microsoft Stream for video. So our Project Hub solution, the core is based around Project Online, but it does connect across that whole ecosystem space as well. It is pre-configured, so it contains best practice templates and apps, and it just helps customers get started immediately. So, having something pre-configured that's ready to go, that contains good rich IP around, project metadata and program data, pre-configured workflows, manages risks and issues, variations or change requests, if you like, capturing benefits and financials, and resourcing. It is a pre-configured design ready to go. And we find that most customers will always want to get started with our Project Hub. The other thing is it allows the customer to start realizing the benefits immediately of what it would be like to use a Microsoft PPM solution. And we also have our Portfolio Hub solution. So portfolio management is quite different than project and program management. And so Portfolio Hub lifts this up a layer, and what it means is that you can actually manage portfolio risks and issues or changes, dependencies across portfolios, looking at your portfolio health and reporting and performance. And so I guess, in an organization, a portfolio could be a department. It could be like, a global IT team. It could be a global marketing team. It could be a global legal team. But Portfolio Hub allows you to bring your portfolios together, so you can actually look at that aggregated view of how is the performance of all my portfolios going. And yes, of course, it drills down and connects into our Project Hub solution as well. Our third solution that we want to talk about, which is topic for today, is our Analytics Hub solution. So Analytics Hub is about bringing together all of the analytics within your Office 365 environment and focused around your Microsoft PPM solution with connectors to other platforms. So for customers that have our Analytics Hub solution, it allows them to create these beautiful reports and dashboards, in minutes. And this is what I'm going to show you today. What we like about it is it's very intuitive. It's very easy to use in terms of, leveraging the Power BI drag and drop functionality. It's also real-time and dynamic across your Office 365. So we've found ways to develop something so that as soon as you add a new risk or an issue, it will automatically be included in your Analytics Hub dataset. And the third component about Analytics Hub is the ownership. So this is important for a lot of customers, particularly maybe in Australia, but one of the things that we often get asked is, well, where does the data actually live for my Analytics Hub solution? So I can tell you that Analytics Hub will live in your environment, in your Microsoft cloud, and you'll have complete ownership and access to your data. So let's have a look at how Analytics Hub works. So you have one platform to manage all your data. And so really there are 3 steps for you to activate your Analytics Hub. The first thing is to choose your connectors. The second component is building the reports. And the third component is sharing the reports with others and then interrogating your business data in your reports. So let's have a look at the different connectors that we have available. You will see the project online icon here. And so yes, Project Online in this instance, as a Microsoft PPM solution, will be the core platform for where all of your data is stored. But then you have the ability to bring in other connectors from other platforms like Salesforce, SAP, maybe Office 365, SharePoint, ServiceNow, Dynamics, Jira. We do find that a lot of our customers, when it comes to a project and portfolio management solution, they want the ability to say, well, show me all the help desk tickets that have been raised, and of those help desk tickets, which ones have actually turned into projects. And so I guess if organizations are using other systems to actually record that information and manage the process, this is where Analytics Hub comes in, because we can draw in all of that data from those other applications and store it within the one central database, which we call Analytics Hub. And so that means that when someone wants to build a report, that they can essentially drag and drop in Power BI Desktop, and they can build these reports dynamically without having to go and create separate connections all the time to your data sets. And so let's have a look at the Project Online connector. So Project Online out of the box, as some of you may or may not know, but using the APIs, you can get to a certain percentage of your data. And so that is all your project metadata and fields and resource data and fields, your default risk and issue and deliverable data, assignment, task, timesheeting. So this is basically what comes with Project Online out of the box. But you see, most of our customers will always want to create their own custom content, right? SharePoint lists, you might call them SharePoint registers. You may be familiar that they're really content types. And so what our Project Online connector does is it provides a platform that has a pre-built relationship across all of the information in your Project Online environment. So this includes, yes, the out-of-the-box component, but also any additional data that you may create. So for an organization who's looking for a PPM solution, typically you would want some kind of ideation or business case forms, or you would have fields. You may decide you want to add additional registers in your project site to capture, benefits or maybe variations or dependencies. You may have defect logs. You may want to do health checks. So I guess, from our perspective, this really provides the customer with an analytical solution that allows them that any time they create a custom content, it could be additional columns they add. And as their business goes through change, this solution will change with you. And so that just means you can report on anything that lives in your Project Online site collection. Now, we have some customers as well who may have several instances of Project Online, especially if they're a very large customer. And so, yes, you can bring all of those together. But again, the idea is that you have one connection that will have all of your information, and it's dynamic as well. So let's have a look at what it's like to build some real-time reports and dashboards. Here you can see a screenshot of a risk management report, and I'm going to show you a demonstration live of this one today as well. But you can see on the right-hand side, you've got the default Power BI visualizations. When you add a card to the canvas in Power BI, you'll pick a visualization, and then you'll pick your data set. And so you can also see in the report filters on the screen here that you can even break this down from portfolio, program, project layer, project sponsor. So you see it's all dynamic, and anytime you click a button, you can interrogate your data. And one of the other really nice things about this solution as well is that you can personalize it. So, we have a lot of customers who will say to us, well, I need a dashboard just for me. I need to see, if I'm the sponsor, what projects or programs am I responsible for? How many variations are awaiting my approval? Or how many outstanding risks are there or issues are there? And what benefits have I realized on the projects where I'm the sponsor? Where's that at today? And what's coming up in the future? What is my total spend and budget like? And so again, having something that is dynamic, that includes all of your information, will allow you to create something like this. And of course, you can always extend it. And so what do our customers say today? Well, I guess, we know that, for customers looking at one of our Project Hub and our Analytics Hub solutions, that they will immediately save a considerable amount of time in having a reporting solution that is automated. And so I guess, a lot of PMOs today will have 3 or 4 analysts in their team who spend days per month, merging data sets together to build these kind of reports. And so we know that this is probably one of the most common feedbacks and stories that we get from customers, just around, well, our PMO analysts can now focus on what they're good at, which is around compliance, and they're not spending all day creating reports of data that might not be a central or coming from a central source of truth. And so, of course, the other thing is around being able to connect to other business data within Office 365, within other business applications. And again, having that all available in one connection is certainly another common feedback. And getting real-time visibility, most of our customers now, they're not going down the path of printing out reports or exporting them or emailing them to each other, because they're just all there. They're 100% real time. The visibility is always there around the health of portfolio. And so this is another common thing that we get feedback on. And from our perspective, I suppose what it also means for the customer is that they're increasing maturity. So as soon as a project manager updates the percent complete, as soon as they update, a change request, or they change a budget, or they, they've got risks that are overdue, that kind of thing, it is immediately visible. So you will find that your project teams will be far more proactive. Okay, so let's get started and build some reports. So we are going to go through 10 different steps. And I think, it's important to actually take you through what we do actually at TDP, and the different steps of what's involved, because actually building a report is quite simple and quick, but thinking about the audience and thinking about the design, the colors, the layout, the relationship of your data, having the right fields, having the right imagery, and how you're actually going to represent that information to the end users in Power BI is important as well. And before we jump into the demonstration, I've got a thank you to the sponsors slide. So these are all the different sponsors who have been involved in the Project Virtual Conference. And of course, we're a gold sponsor as well. We're down here, we're the digital projects. So let's get started. Okay, so what I wanted to show you first was a project site in Project Online. And so this project, it's called the Construction Upgrade Project. So this is the homepage for the project site. And you can see down the left-hand side, there's a whole series of registers that exist. So you've got the project task, which is from the schedule. You've got the project team, which is like a stakeholder register that's got, the sponsor, the architect, etc. You've got your risk and your issue registers. You've also got a project status. This is where you go to record the health of your project. You've got action decision logs. There's a benefits register. There's also a project financials and a project variations or a change request register as well. So look, we've got a whole series of registers. You don't have to have all of those different registers, but this is where all of the information is going to be coming from in the reports that I've shown you. So it is a combination of what lives in the Microsoft Project online project site, as well as the project schedule, and then as well as information that may be captured elsewhere in the system. So I'm not going to go into each one of these, but I just want to show you that is where the information will be coming from. So let's have a look at a report. So this is our risk management report. This one's super popular actually. So you've got a heat map on the right hand side. So most organizations will already have their own project risk matrix, which has got likelihood, maybe consequence. You may have other variations. But essentially what we've done when we built this report was we built out the heat map, we put the background colors, and then we've overlaid that with different numbers that represent the count or the number of projects with risks based on that particular rating and matrix. So what's really nice about this report as well is you've got the ability to drill up and drill down by portfolio, program, or project. So right now we're looking at all risks across the whole portfolio. But if I click these little drop down arrows here, we can now break that down by program. And so if I was to click on the name of one of these programs like property services, we will then see the information change, and we can see that there are 12 risks that have been raised. And so you can also, if you navigate to the due date over here on the right hand side, obviously the ones that are in red mean that they're overdue. So these are simple formulas you can create in Power BI, which basically shows you where the due date is less than today. So we're going to look at that as well shortly. But look, at least you can see the upcoming risks and when they're due. So I'm going to click on this again, and I'm going to go back up to the portfolio. The other nice thing is you've got this projects by risk rating. And so if you were to click on one of these icons here, we can see that there are 3 extreme risks. So you've always got with Power BI the ability to interrogate by clicking, by hovering. You can also have links. There's other tabs down the bottom of this screen as well. So I'm just going to click on the extreme rating. We can see that there are 3 extreme risks. We can see that they relate to the engineering portfolio. If we drill down, and the marketing portfolio, if we drill down further, we can actually see the programs they relate to, and now we can actually see which projects they are. And on the right hand side, we can see that none of those are actually overdue, so that's a good thing, although one is due in the month of June, and then September and October. So you see each report will always tell a story, and having this top-down interrogation is incredibly powerful. There's also a figure in the middle of the page which has actually got the 175,000, and so this obviously is the cost of the risk should the risk occur. You may refer to this as your risk exposure cost. So again, that's all captured in the project site as well. Now this is another report. This is the personalized report that you saw in the PowerPoint deck. And so this is one that you can create for a program manager or a project or a sponsor, maybe an executive. This one's quite clever in the fact that it lists out the different programs and projects associated for that person who is the sponsor. So this is coming from the metadata associated with that particular project. And again, you know, what's really nice about this is when you click on one of these projects, you can actually see the data on the report change. So if I click on construction upgrade, you can see that all of the actions, the benefits, you know, the variations and the issues to resolve, and all this information down the bottom of the screen is all changed. If I click back on the name of that project again, it will roll back up to the top again. So again, you know, having the ability to build a report with a relationship across all of your data that allows you to click down from the person's name or the program or the project is just going to help you get insights faster. Okay, so let's have a look at the program status report because we're actually going to build this one out today. This report is quite nice in the fact that you can filter on the name of the program. We're filtered on property services at the moment. You can see that there are 3 projects in the property services program, and you can see that overall health. And then when you click in on one of these, you'll see that project's health. So you've got a really nice view of the consolidated financials, the timeline. You know, you can see the issues outstanding, plus, you know, the risks that are there and any change requests, costs that may arise. So this is the report that we're going to build. So let's open up Power BI Desktop. Okay, so here you can see the program status report. I've opened this up in Power BI Desktop. I would always recommend that you download the latest version of Power BI Desktop. It does tend to come out every 4 weeks. There are always new things that are coming out, and just to make sure you get the latest access to visualizations and functionality, I would highly recommend always getting that latest version. Okay, so let's talk about the design principles, which for us is around brand and color. Now, you know, every organization will always have their own color palette. You know, one of the things that we find is it's very hard sometimes to use exactly all the colors that are in that color palette that a customer gives us. But typically we'll try and pick 1 or 2 of those primary colors, and then we incorporate it and we mix it in with some other variations, you know, putting in some pastels or putting in, you know, like a bold teal. And what this does is it actually brings a lot of modern design to these reports. So again, you know, all these other online systems that we use in this day and age will always have that very nice brand look and feel. You want to achieve the same result with your Power BI reports that you're going to create. So why do we care about brand? Well, you know, we know for a fact that if you create a very nice looking Power BI report, your user base and the audience is going to gravitate towards it. People will want to look at it. For them, it's going to feel like, you know, something maybe that you haven't created that's just been available online. And so again, anything that you can do to encourage the user to look at the report or the information, I think is quite key and quite critical to the success of these kind of reporting solutions as well. So when it comes to colors, you know, you can build your own theme. And so for those of you watching this presentation, you may be aware in Power BI Desktop you can build your own theme. we typically will just build what's called a JSON file, and there are websites that you can go to that will help you do that. So let me show you that one quickly. And so this is the theme generator that I was talking about. And look, and hopefully you can see the URL. It is https://powerbi.tips/tools report-theme-generator-v3. I will put this in the Zoom chat because, this is something that will become very useful. So when someone gives you the color palette, essentially, if you know all the different hex colors, maybe they give it to you in RGB, that's okay. Whatever those colors are, do the conversion to the hex code. And there are, again, lots of websites you can use that will help you do that. But this site is pretty awesome because all you do is you just put in what that hex color is, and then you just add it. And then you put in a name for your theme and you click download. This website actually builds the JSON file for you. And so you may need to use Chrome, by the way, for this. That's what I found. So download that JSON file once you've put all your colors in. And then what you'll do is you'll go into Power BI Desktop, back to your report. And under the settings here in your report, there is something called Switch Theme. So when you click the drop down under Switch Theme, it'll say, do you want to import? When you click on that, it'll say, load up a JSON file, which is a JSON file. That will be the one that you can download from that Power BI Tips site as well. So what that does is it means that when you come in and you have a look at the colors that have been preloaded, and I've just gone to the background color for this page, you'll actually see all of the colors that you've loaded in, those hex colors. And the other nice thing that Power BI Desktop does as well is it will also give you the different levels of shading. So you'll see the primary colors, but you'll also see other variations of those colors in slightly different formats. And you will use those throughout creating your reports as well. The other component that I just wanted to mention as well is that, with Power BI, sometimes, you can't always create, like a solid teal bar like this one you can see along the top here. So this teal bar, it's actually an image. And so what you can do is you can come into the background of the page and you can upload an image. So we just created a PNG file. We use Photoshop, but you could use Paint. And what you would have is just a blank white square box with just a teal horizontal layer at the top of your screen. And when you load that in, that will be your background image. It just means that we can, use the layout of the report in a better way. In terms of the page size as well, we tend to stick with the 16:9 for us. This tends to work well. Power BI reports will always publish in that PowerPoint sized design, if you like, and this is important and useful for when you do export it into PowerPoint as well. Okay, so let's have a look at building out this report. So what I will be doing is I'll be clicking on the plus sign at the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to open up a blank canvas. So this white page here is just called a canvas in Power BI, and so we're going to build a replica of this report, and I've got about 30 minutes to do it, so I'm really hoping that I can do this for you. Let's cover off the data set. So I talked about our analytics hub, and so you can see down the right hand side here, project actions, benefits, changes, deliverables. In fact, all of these data sets contain the content for what we need to build the report with. So again, this data set, it's real time, it's dynamic. How do you bring the data set in? You would go up to this Get Data option up here in the ribbon of Power BI Desktop, and you connect to a SQL Azure connection. So Direct Query allows you to have that one connection. And again, as soon as you've published this report, it's streaming real time. You'll also see some other data sets in this field list down the right hand side as well, like CRM, Jira, SAP. I've left those there really just to demonstrate that you can bring in other data from other sources. We won't be looking at those today, and typically best practice when you build a BI report is you will always hide or remove what you don't need to work with. Okay, so let's get started and build this report. So I'm going to click on the plus tab, and I'm going to first of all, now upload that background image. So I'm going to come in to add the image. I'm going to go with the dark background here. So one of the things that you will notice is once you add in that particular image, you will need to come into the image fitting option here and not leave it set to normal, but leave it set to fit, because what that actually does is it will stretch it across the page and represent that in a neater format, if you like. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this Canvas report. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give the report a name. So this is just adding a text box. So let's click on the text box option here and call this program status report. And of course, you know, this could be a project status report if you wanted it to be. I'm just going to change the text. I'm going to increase the font as well. You may want to make it bold. And I'm just going to move this box. Because this report has actually got quite a lot of layers on it, it is good to minimize it where possible, because otherwise when you're trying to work with all the different boxes on the page, you're going to accidentally click on one that, you know, perhaps you didn't need, etc. And it's very easy in Power BI to make mistakes, though you do have an undo option, which also works well, or just click Control Z. Okay, so now I'm going to add the different filters that are along the top of the screen in the teal banner. They're not really filters actually, they're really just going to tell me which portfolio the program's part of, who the sponsor is, etc. So here's how it works. Under the field list, in fact, all I need to do is type in the word portfolio, and it's actually going to show me where the word portfolio lives in the data set underneath each of these tables. Now, I know that portfolio name is a Project Online metadata field, and so that lives under the projects table. So when I click on that, I can see that the list of the different portfolios is going to come up. Okay, so there's always quick ways to do things in Power BI, which is kind of nice. It reduces the time, and so I'm going to create this particular label, and then I'll be copying it. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to make this one a slicer first of all, and I'm going to make this one into a drop-down list. Actually, it's not a drop-down list, it is the data card. So let me click on the data card. So it tells me engineering portfolio. So I'm going to adjust the text and also the color. So I want to use a white font. And I'm also going to reduce the size dramatically of this one, so it can actually fit up there in the ribbon. I'm going to reduce it a little bit more. And there we go. So I've reduced that one to 10. And if we expand the title field, this one's also set to white, and it's also at a text font of 10. I made this one bold just so it actually stands out. It's more of a header. And so now what we want to do is we want to add the sponsor, the project manager, and the stage. So like I mentioned, I can actually copy this now, and I'm going to move that one across. So if I type in the word sponsor now, it's going to show me the different sponsors that I can select. Sometimes you'll have an executive or a project or an EGM sponsor. And in this instance, it is the project sponsor. So I'm going to drag that on top. And so let's now change the title of that field. Sponsor. So I'm going to add another card as well. And this time I want this one to actually be the project manager. So there is a field in Project Online, which is the project owner name. Okay, and so I'm just going to change that. You may have other fields that you want to add, other custom metadata fields, and that's fine as well. Excellent. So there we go. We've got those 3 fields that are at the top of the screen there. So that really only took us a few minutes. The next thing we need to do is we need to add the filter for the program. So this one lives over here on the left-hand side. So this one is a slicer field because we want to be able to select the drop down of the different names of the programs. And again, every project in Project Online is tagged to have a certain, the field may be called program name, and you just say, well, this project's part of this program, or it could be NA if the project's not part of a program. So now let's type on the word program and put that in there. We also want to make this one a drop down field as well. So this is where now I can select, say, property services. If you wanted this to work in a way where you select multiple programs, you would need to come into the settings for the slicer, and this is where you can change the selection controls to say, do you want to select just a single, or do you want people to be able to select multiple? Okay, so I've left it as single at the moment. That's probably going to work a little bit better for us. You'll also notice there's no spaces between these fields that come across. That's on purpose because it comes from a database. But you just come in here and you put the space in under the field list on the card itself. So there we go. We've got some metadata. We've got the program name. So now let's have a look at displaying the projects that are part of that program, which is this component here. Okay, so that's quite easy really. So we're just going to grab a table, and under the table we're just going to type in the project name. So project name is always your key connector across all of your data. And so if I scroll down, I can find the project. And there it is, it's under projects. Now the other component that we want to add is the unique project identifier as well. So this is just the normal project ID that, that gets generated when you create the project. So let's just put that in front. So I'm going to relabel these as well, project ID, and I'll put a space in the project name as well. The other thing I think I will do is just change the table layout, just make that a little bit larger as well. Just stretch that out a little bit. And so in the table style, I'm just going to make that one minimal. So that looks a little bit nicer. Maybe the column headers need to be a little bit larger. So I can use these little column header buttons. And you can change the font as well, right? You can also turn on word wrap. So these are all different things that you can spend time doing. And to be honest, you know, you could spend quite a lot of time playing around with manipulating your report. Okay, so lastly, I'm just going to increase the size of the text. There we go. So it's a little bit more prominent. You could put a border around this if you wanted to. I don't really want to, but so now what happens is, like, if I click on the parcel and harmonization program name, this is where you will see the different projects change, yeah? So if I go back to property services, we'll see that there's 3 projects there. So one of the other things that we had on the other report was the count of the projects. So if I type in project name and I add a card, this is where I can actually put in the count for the number of projects. So I'm going to turn this into a count field. I'm also going to change that data label because it's a little bit bold. In terms of fonts, you know, the Segoa Light is quite nice. I don't really want the category label. With your data cards, you can also put, background cell shading in there as well if you wanted to. I think we had that on the last one. So that sometimes can just add quite a nice design. If you go into the background, you can just put in a nice shading. I'd always recommend using, like a light grey. Let's maybe make that a little bit deeper. And so what you see here in Power BI Desktop sometimes can get represented in different ways in Power BI in the browser. So there we go. We've got our labels and we've got our projects and we've got the program name, got some metadata fields at the top. And so now let's build out the traffic light status here. So one of the things that we're often asked is, how do you display the traffic light icons? So I guess, what you need to do is you will need to write a column formula or DAX query if you like. And you can see we've got a few here. So the first thing you would do is you would upload into an image library in SharePoint, the actual image. When you load up the image, it needs to have the same name as what's in the drop-down list for your red, amber, green statuses, which in our case are red, amber, green, and NA, where you haven't added a value. So then, where you've actually recorded the statuses red, amber, green, it knows to go and select the appropriate image. So the other thing, just I guess as an FY as well, is that, in Power BI, if you're working with images, they're not going to come through and be displayed. You will see them as like broken icons, but when you publish the report, you will see them. If you're looking at the Power BI report and you see broken image links, it's probably because the person looking at the report doesn't have access to your Project Online instance. And so we actually also put the images in a public web library as well. So if you have a public facing website or you have the ability in Azure to be able to upload those images, and they all need to have their own URL. And again, they all need to be labeled like red, amber, green, etc. So this is where I can create a table view, and I can choose the budget icon, the issue icon, and you can see what I mean by about coming through as broken links. We've got the overall, the resource, risks, schedule. Now, you will see that the resource one, for example, has come up with a URL. So once you've actually loaded and created, you can see the location of where our images are, and you've written that formula, you will need to go into the modeling tab in Power BI Desktop, and you need to make this one an image URL. And so what that means is it knows, this table view knows to actually display the image and not display the URL, okay? And so there you go. So obviously we know that there will be three different statuses. And so I'm just going to order these a little bit neater. And you can reorder these. You can obviously rename them. The other thing is this particular table has a border on it. So I'm just going to add in the grey border outline. Again, I'm always choosing that very soft grey. Okay, I'm also going to give this one a title, which I think we've called it Overall Health. And hopefully you can see my screen still, it's not getting cut off. There we go. So again, I'm going to make this one bold just to stand out a little bit more, and I could put that in Arial black if I wanted to. And I'm just going to move that up a little bit. So when you're a project manager, in our Project Hub solution, typically what you would do is record your health status once a week. So we do have a field which is called the week ending status. And so this works off a drop down list. So this is a date field basically. So this one's quite clever. So it is a choice column field in SharePoint, and it knows to turn it into a date. And again, you know, our Analytics Hub software will just do that. So I'm going to turn off the header because I want this to display up here. And so this now means that I could come in and I could select the week ending the 3rd of June. And so now I can see the health status for those 3 projects. Okay. Probably stretch it down just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So I might just change this one to have a white item background just so I can actually see that. And the other thing is, like, I don't know what week ending it is, so I need to add a text field, which is a text box, and I might make this one's italics and just call it week ending date. Okay, there we go. And I can put this up on the ribbon. It needs to be white. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, next we had a benefits dial over here on the right. So I'm just going to add the gauge. So again, I think this one also had a box around it. So we had a benefit amount realized, which goes in the value tab, and then we have a benefit target amount, which goes in the maximum. And so let's just change these colors around. You could use the green or you could use the teal, either or. The other thing I would probably do is just soften this target color here as well, just to make it a little bit softer. I'm going to leave it displayed as the auto as well. Okay, so now let's just give this one a better title. And so this is benefit amount realized versus target. And let's center that. Let's make this one black and bold as well. I think it's quite important to be able to, you know, if you're a program manager, be able to see what benefits you've already started realizing. Most projects will already go through that when they start kicking off. So it's good to be able to capture that. And look, in our benefits register typically allows, you know, organizations to be able to start recording it from when it starts occurring and over a time frame. And you would have seen that on the My Dashboard as well. There we go. So we've got our benefits, our health, our project information. The next thing to look at is the financials. And so, you know, every customer manages their financials differently in PPM solutions. I guess at the end of the day, you will always have a central source of truth for financials, whether it's an SAP program or maybe Dynamics or Great Plains or, you know, PeopleSoft, etc. So, so again, you know, that's where we would, the data in this field list here would come from that financial system. But in this case, it's coming from SharePoint. So I'm going to click the budget, including the change request. So this is the total budget, including any changes. And again, we need to add 4 different data cards. So as long as I make all of these exactly the same, then we can just continue to leverage these and copy and paste them. So again, you know, this formatting isn't something that you always have to focus on. You can template this as well if you like. So I'm going to call this one total budget. And let's just center that one and let's put a box around it as well. And there we go, we can see the total budget. So I'm now going to replicate this 4 times. And now I can see all my financial values. And so what I did was obviously just picked up these values here that live. Now, from time to time, you may need to write a formula, okay? And we're going to build the financial table now, so you'll see what I mean about that. This is important to capture that cumulative analysis. And so if you're entering a certain figure per month, you need to write a measure to be able to cumulative sum that. You also need to be careful that things don't stretch past today's date, etc., where they shouldn't, I guess, if you like. So let's have a look at that. So I'm going to add a line chart now. So with the line chart, I mean, there are different ways you can represent this. I like the line chart. You could even have different bookmarks here, so you could click on different icons to show you a line chart versus, a bar graph, etc. But we want to add to the values the forecast running total, the budget running total, and also the actuals as well. Then we need to add the month field, and there we go. So let's just call this one month. And we probably want to relabel some of these ones as well. So I'll just call it forecast and budget and actuals. You definitely will need to change the colors, otherwise Power BI will just use what it thinks is relevant. So if you go into the format tab, you can change the data colors. So let's make the actuals green, let's make the budget red, and let's make the forecast aqua. And there we go. So if I was to click on the name of one of these projects now, we can actually see those financial forecast figures change. Okay. And so other things you can do is you can actually add some background context to these financial figures as well if you wanted to, by choosing whether you want to show them on the bar or not. So I've just put in a title for this chart as well. So there we have it. You've got the financial data on the report now. So now let's have a look at the risk and the issues. So we're going to add a text shape here. And this one is really, I guess sometimes we do this just because it means we can be a little bit more clever with the graphical representation. I'll turn off the fill. I'm going to change the line thickness down to 1, and I'm going to change the color for this one as well. Let's give this one a heading, and let's call this risks. Okay, I'm going to copy this now, and this time I'm going to call this one issues. Okay, so we've got the boxes ready. Now we need to add a data card, and we need to put in the count of issues and risks. So let's have a look at the project risk table. So we've actually, I mean, look, you could just do a sum of the title field, but we've actually already created a measure that does this for us. So we know that there are 12 risks. I'm just going to soften that color. I'm going to take the category label away from that one as well. Turn off the word wrap. I think we'll change the font so we can see that there are 12 risks. Okay, and I've done the same for issues as well. So I've gone in and I've added the count for the number of issues. So again, the report can always have filters that show you ones that are active. So you can filter out the ones that are closed, because often you want to see the ones that are, current, if you like. And you can do things like show me the ones that have got the due date coming up in the next 30 days using relative date filtering. You can get very, very clever with how you want to then filter this report to show the information. Okay, so the next thing is to just add that funnel chart to show the representation of the number of risks and issues. And so these funnel charts are quite nice. You probably may want to choose to turn off the conversion. You may want to change the colors as well. And so definitely want to change these from, the default value. And there you go, you can see the risks, the counter risks by the rating, and I'll do the same for issues as well. And there you go, you've got both risks and issues now displaying. So again, let's filter some of these projects and let's watch the information change. Excellent. Okay, we know that's working. Great. The next thing I want to create is the program Gantt chart. Now this one can be a little bit fiddly, I'll be honest with you. And again, this is just because of the different timeline views that are available to work with, and you know, these road mapping visualizations, there aren't too many. So I guess what we want to see is the project name, the start and finish date, and the percentage complete plus the duration. So this is how it works. You want to add the project name from the project table. And I'm going to add that at the task level. We can see the 3 projects. Then we want to add the task name. And we're going to put this one, oh sorry, it's not the task name, it's the task start date. And then you want to filter task is summary. So this just means it is the parent summary task, so you can actually add that to the filter visualization. Okay. And next you want to add the task duration. Okay, we've got 1 in days. You want to change this setting as well to perhaps not show the weeks, but you really want to display probably the quarters. I mean, it depends on, you know, the number of projects that you've got. Okay, and lastly, we want to show the task percent complete. And there you go. So now you've got a very basic view of your Gantt. So again, I'm just going to add a quick border around this one. And now if I filter on the name of a project, it's now going to show me the percent complete for that one, which is great. Excellent. And so look, we're coming towards the end of the session, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Look, I'm just adding the final touches to this report, just adding in the project changes, and also the number of deliverables. So let's just call this one cost of variations. You might call it change. So again, you know, some projects may have these costs or maybe not. Okay, but it's good because from a program perspective now, you can actually see the overall health of your program, and you've also got drill down into each of your projects. And again, you know, you could run this by the name of a project. You may choose you want to run this by the name of a sponsor. So I'm just going to add a report level filter here as well. So when I publish this report, I could, if I wanted to, just run this based on being a particular sponsor, in this case, Michelle. So I think this is quite nice. Let's publish this report and see how it looks. And here we go. This is the report. Now I've published this, so you can see the one that previously existed and the one that we've created. And to be honest, this took us, if I look at my my time counter, it's taken us about maybe 25 minutes to build a program report. So I guess if you think about the time and effort you spend today in building out these reports and exporting them, the fact that you can actually build this once and it's there, it's available. You can also add different roles to this report, which means you can lock down the security. We call it row level security, if you like. So certain people can only see, you know, certain aspects of the data where they're the sponsor or where they're the project manager. And how it works is it looks at the account that's logged into Power BI, it looks at their email address, and it looks at what they own and what their email address owns in Office 365. So it's super clever. And this is something that we put in for all of our customers. It's part of our Analytics Hub product, and it's already available. So I hope you've enjoyed the session today. As I said, this is a pre-recorded session, and I will be on the Zoom chat to answer any questions that you have throughout that session. I'll also upload the JSON file, and I'll also share with you some of these icons. You know, we often get asked, how did you make them? So I'm going to share them with you, as well as the presentation deck that we've actually used today as well. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks, and please reach out to us. We'd always love to hear from you, and enjoy the conference.